Have you ever read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? This book came out 35 years ago, and it's really one of the better business books that I've come across. When I first got it, and it's been decades ago that I first got it, I can remember just going right to the habits. I wanted to see what they were, and I made a list of these 7 habits, and I just wrote them down on an index card. And then I would carry that index card with all the rest of my index cards that I like to look at from time to time and just refresh my memory as to these 7 habits. And they really are excellent. Again, the book perhaps is maybe aimed more at business people, but it has application in any area of your life. And so today I thought I would look at the first of the 7 habits to highly effective people. And that habit is being proactive. Now think about what being proactive means. It means that you are going to take the initiative. You're going to take the lead in what you're doing. It's very much implicative of the idea that you're a self-starter. That while you may have a task that's given to you by somebody else, it's a task that you believe in, that you have bought into, whether it's because you're bought into your job or to your schooling or whatever it is, and you're going to make sure that you do everything within your power, not only to get that task done, but to get it done right, and as efficiently and quickly as you possibly can, and still do the best job that you can. Being proactive is the first step, or at least one of the first steps in a life of excellence. And it's just absolutely critical, I believe, to our being effective in the things that we really want to do in life. I've really enjoyed these motivational books through the years. I can remember going back and reading Norman Vincent Peale's Power of Positive Thinking, and he's got a whole library of books along that line. Dale Carnegie had several books, but one of them was How to Stop Worrying and to Start Living. I like W. Clement Stone's books because they're very much along the lines of trying to find a motivation to get you to do what it is that will allow you to accomplish your dreams. But one of the things I have noticed with these books, one of the common themes I have noticed is that the things that really work, the things that truly are effective in the application are those that have a scriptural basis to them. And this idea of being proactive is certainly embedded within the scriptures. Thousands of years before Stephen Covey ever came along and identified these as secrets to success, God had already identified them and had encouraged people towards their use. In James chapter 1 and verse 22, James, who's the brother of Christ, through inspiration said, "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." It's that idea of being a go-getter. You're not just observing the fact that there are rules or that there are instructions or that there is a preferred way to do something. You're going to actually do it. When it comes to serving God, it must be done in His way. Most people don't believe that. Most people do not read the Bible except for maybe at times where they're depressed or they're worried or they have some kind of a reason to maybe lean on God for a little bit until they get their life's ship righted, and then after they've gotten through with that crutch, they put it away. But the Word of God is something that is to be the standard for our life. The Bible gives us the instruction as to how God expects us to live. And within that instruction is one piece of advice after another, very often in the form of command, that tells us the very best way to live our life. And not just listening to something, but doing what it says is important in any endeavor that's worthwhile, but especially when we talk about our service to God. But now think about the different types of endeavors that you've engaged in life that are usually desirable for people to do well in. It really begins with our schooling, doesn't it? You see some kids that just seem to do really well at school, whereas the rest of us are just kind of getting by. Why is that? Well, we'll often call such kids something along the lines of teacher's pet or something like that. And while there are certainly some kids who try to butter up the teacher to get on their good side, usually it's just the kids who are listening to what they're supposed to be doing, and then they do it. Again, they're self-starters. They are motivated towards excellence. There's a drive within them that wants to do the very best that they can be in everything, and school is just one of them. And you watch people like that, and they typically are very good students because they don't need somebody standing over them with a whip to tell them what to do. They just find out what they need to do, and then they do it. Well, these are the types of people, if you're an employer, you want to hire, aren't they? They're the people that you can show how to do the job. You can explain why you want it done in a certain way, and then you just can turn them loose. And they're proactive. They don't have to have somebody standing over them to tell them each step along the way for their job, because they're aware of what their job is, and they want to do the very best job they can. There are usually two types of employees when you look at it. There are those who are just hourly employees who just want to get the day done with. There are others who have more of a project motivation. They may be paid by the hour, sure enough, but their intent is to get the job done and to get it done right and then move on to the next facet of that job. These are proactive people. These are people who will climb the ladder of success. Again, not because they are trying to ingratiate themselves with their bosses by buttering them up in some way, but because they have bought in to the company. They believe in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, and they're going to give even more than that if they are able to. And they will rapidly advance through the ranks of promotion, most often, because of that proactive nature that they have. If you've ever been on a sports team, it always seems like there's one guy, or if you're a girl, one girl that seems to stand out above the rest. Part of it is very much likely due to their natural abilities, but there's something else about them. There is a drive within them that wants to win. And so they will do everything in their power to make sure that happens. I'm not talking about those who will even cheat to win. I'm not talking about that type of personality at all. Rather, I'm talking about those who are motivated by success and who will do everything within the rules to obtain that success, to obtain the victory, to obtain the trophy. And their enthusiasm is catching. They will bring other people up to their level, or at least they will motivate them to operate at the highest level. There's some rare coaches who are able to do this, and they're always highly sought after in the sports field because they have an ability to make the people want to do what it takes to achieve the victory. But again, when we talk about proactive people, they usually have some kind of an inner drive, an inner motivation. And that drive and motivation is contagious because they are enthusiastic about it. That may be one of the greatest attributes about a proactive person, is that they are enthusiastic and they're able to share that enthusiasm with other people. In no area of life is this more important than in our service to God. In the Old Testament, in Deuteronomy, Moses brought forth a commandment from God that was to love God with all of our heart and soul and strength. When Jesus came along, some 1,400 years later, as he ministered here on earth, he upgraded that. He called this the greatest commandment. And he said the greatest commandment was to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. When we love God with every fiber of our being, that is going to motivate us to do whatever it is that He wants us to do, and to do it in the right way, and to do it enthusiastically. And again, that type of enthusiasm is contagious. When people see that you have a confidence in your life, that you have a joy for life, a zest for living, they want that, because most people just flat out don't have it. And this is one of the most important attributes that a Christian can have. And it begins with being proactive, a self-starter, someone who is willing to listen to instruction, find out what the right way to do things is, but then who is willing to do their utmost best in accomplishing that without somebody having to encourage them every step of the way, because they're proactive. And again, they've bought into what they're doing and they're enthusiastic about it, and that enthusiasm spreads to everybody else. Are you proactive? This is one of the 7 habits to highly effective individuals, and this is where it starts. If you're proactive, well, the rest of the habits we're going to be talking about in upcoming days are going to come much easier to you, and you're going to be much more likely to achieve the success that you're wanting to achieve. Stephen Covey did a brilliant job in his book, but he was just really sharing secrets that God had already spoken of several thousand years ago. They're just as true today as they were then. But the first habit of a highly effective person is to be proactive. I appreciate your listening today. We're going to talk about the other 7 habits of highly effective people in upcoming days, and I hope you'll tune back in to see what they are if you don't know already. If you haven't bought the book by Stephen Covey, I'd encourage you to do that. But even more importantly, if you haven't bought into this book, the Bible, the Word of God, I would really encourage you to do just that. Appreciate your tuning in. We'll see you next time.